Breaking news! The saga continues in the Persian palace. A Bible Buzz exclusive with your hosts, Noah Lott and Grace Lightning.
Good evening, and welcome to today's edition of Bible Buzz. I'm your host, Noah Lott.
And I'm Grace Lightning. Tonight, we have more breaking news from the Grand Palace of King Xerxes. On our last episode, Queen Vashti was ousted by the king for her dishonor. And so began the story of Esther, Jewish orphan turned queen.
What started out as a time of celebration has given way to political chaos.
Not to mention several instances involving gallows, and one very awkward horse ride. I guess that means the honeymoon's over.
Well, buckle up, Bible Buzz viewers. The Persian palace has gone from royal glam to royal jam, and it all begins with a foiled assassination attempt.
That's right, Noah. Two of the king's guards, Bigthan and Teresh, were caught whispering not-so-sweet nothings at the palace gates, plotting to take out King Xerxes.
But that plot was busted wide open by Mordecai. Remember, Queen Esther's cousin, / guardian, who frequented the king's gate. He tipped off Queen Esther, who reported it to the king in Mordecai's name.
The result? The would-be assassins were hanged on the gallows, and Mordecai's name was written in the royal record books, and then forgotten. For now, anyway.
Enter our villain, Haman. Not king, but a drama king with a throne-sized ego. Xerxes promoted him to second in command, but not everyone was impressed.
Especially not Mordecai. Whenever Haman came strutting by, expecting bows and homage, Mordecai stayed standing. No bend, no nod, not even a head tilt.
Oof, that refusal set off a royal meltdown. Fueled by fury, Haman didn't just target Mordecai. He plotted to exterminate all Jews in the kingdom.
Haman even had lots cast, called poor, kind of like rolling dice, to determine the day and month of the annihilation of the Jews.
In order to get King Xerxes on board with his evil scheme, Haman made the argument that there was a certain group of people with strange customs who didn't obey the king's laws.
And the king, without even knowing it was the Jews, signed off on the genocide.
And check out this bling.
The king even gave Haman his bling-bling signet ring to seal the deal.
And Haman put his money where his mouth was too, offering to give 10,000 talents of his own silver to the king's royal treasury in exchange for the lives of the Jews.
As letters of the annihilation reached all 127 provinces, panic spread, and sackcloth and ashes became the new fashion trend of the Jews.
And Queen Esther? Well, her calling was about to collide with her crown.
Mordecai sent a message to her to plead with the king for her people, but she was hesitant because anyone who appeared before the king, without being summoned, could be put to death.
But Mordecai warned her not to get it twisted, thinking that she would escape just because she lived in the palace.
For if you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance shall arise from elsewhere, but you and your father's house will perish. Who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this?
Upon hearing those sobering words, the queen sent back a new message to Mordecai. She requested that he have all the Jews in Susa to fast for her. No food, no water, for 3 days and nights.
I will go to the king, which is unlawful. And if I perish, I perish.
On the third day, Esther clothed herself with her royal attire, as well as with courage. She walked into the inner court of the king's palace. Uninvited. A gutsy move on her part. That's one small step for a queen, one giant leap for a nation.
But Queen Esther's risk paid off. She once again found favor in the king's sight. The king extended the golden scepter to his queen. Favor granted. Destiny activated.
What do you wish, my queen? Your request shall be given you, up to half the kingdom.
If it pleases the king, let the king and Haman come today to a banquet that I have prepared.
Meanwhile, Haman was sharpening his revenge. At the suggestion of his friends and of his wife, Zeresh, Haman had a 75-foot gallows built. Yes, 75 feet. To hang Mordecai. Subtle, right?
But that night, the king couldn't sleep. Coincidence? Or divine insomnia?
He asked that the royal records be read to him. It was found written that Mordecai had foiled the plot, which Bigthan and Teresh had of killing King Xerxes. Upon discovering Mordecai's forgotten heroism, the king was determined to honor him.
And guess who had just entered the outer court to suggest that the king hang Mordecai? That's right, Haman. Again, not a coincidence. This is some divine timing. So the king ordered that Haman be brought in.
What shall be done for the man whom the king delights to honor?
Thinking it surely had to be him, Haman gave a grand answer.
Adorn him with a royal robe, a royal horse, and parade him on horseback through the city.
Make haste. Do all that you have said for Mordecai the Jew, who sits at the king's gate.
The look on Haman's face, you should have seen it. Priceless. He was forced to honor the man he hated, parading him through the city streets.
Hear ye, hear ye. Thus shall it be done to the man whom the king delights to honor.
Then the queen held a second banquet of wine, at which she exposed the plot to kill her and her people.
Who is he, and where is he, that would dare presume in his heart to do such a thing?
A ruthless enemy, none other than this wicked Haman.
The king stormed out of the banquet, while Haman stood before the queen, begging for his life.
When King Xerxes returned, he saw that Haman had fallen across the couch where the queen was reclining. This turned out to be a very bad move.
Will he assault the queen in my presence? In my very own house?
Next thing you know, Haman was hanging on his very own gallows, the same one he had built for Mordecai. Can you say poetic justice?
Yep, he built the gallows tall and wide, but took the fall with royal pride. From VIP to RIP for this genocidal egomaniac.
And the gallows made yet another appearance when Haman's 10 sons met his same fate.
That's what I call a royal reversal, Noah. And remember that signet ring? Now it's Mordecai who has the king's signet ring along with control of Haman's house.
The queen and Mordecai issued a new edict, namely that the Jews could now defend themselves and even plunder their enemies. Anyone who even dared to attack them.
Jewish celebrations erupted across the entire empire as fear turned into faith and panic turned into power.
Yeah, can you say opposite world? Remember how Haman had lots cast, called pool, to determine doomsday for the Jews? Well, on the very day that Haman had hoped to annihilate the Jews actually overpowered their enemies.
That's what you call flipping the script, Noah.
Yeah, you got that right, Grace. Didn't see that one coming.
And in remembrance of that day, the festival of Purim was born. Days for the people to feast, to rejoice, and to exchange gifts.
We've come full circle, folks, because that's how this story began, with a party. And the party is not over because Purim is celebrated annually.
And if you're wondering about our friend Mordecai, well, he went from the gate to greatness. He took Haman's place when King Xerxes promoted him to second in command.
Grace, this has been a whirlwind story of treachery turned to triumph. We've seen a queen's courage, a hero's rise, and a nation's historic rescue.
This should be a reminder to our viewers that our God gives us victory. He's the judge of all the earth. So arrogance, hatred, and injustice will eventually be exposed and defeated.
And like Queen Esther, we're all here for such a time as this. Our King has already extended the golden scepter to us. He invites us to come boldly before the throne of grace.
Well, I've been your host, Grace Lightning, bringing the good news at the speed of light.
And I'm Noah Lot, with lots of news to share. Thanks for watching today's edition of Bible Buzz.
We hope you enjoyed today's edition of Bible Buzz. Please remember to like, subscribe, and leave us your comments. Until next time, good night, everyone.